Welcome back, guys. And
We were hyped. I mean, the amount of let's goes that were sent back and forth is crazy.
I think this trade kind of shocked us a little. It kind of shocked me.
super exciting.
That's kind of hard to believe.
Let's get hyped and let's get into the video.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Talking Tridents, a Mariners podcast. We are 1 day away from Mariners opening day here on Wednesday, March 25th currently. Wow, guys, we are here. The 26-man roster has been announced, so let's go over that and our impressions before opening day tomorrow.
So 26-man roster is announced. Three key injuries to start the season that we want to talk about first. J.P. Crawford is going to be starting on the 10-day. Bryce Miller is going to be on the 15-day, and Miles Mastrobuoni also on the 10-day injured list to start the season. A couple big blows, I would say. Obviously, when J.P. Mastrobuoni will be coming off the bench, and Bryce Miller, who knows what's going to be happening there with his injury once he's back. With that, the 26-man roster is announced, so we have a few, maybe players that were a little unexpected with the injuries. You want to run that down?
Yeah, I'm not going to go over the guys that we knew were going to be on the roster. Our starting four, obviously, and then both Criswell and Hancock ended up making the roster. We kind of had expected that last week, giving them two options for that fifth rotational spot. Your bullpen will be, Bizardo, Brash, Ferrer, Munoz, Spire, Vargas, and then Kesu Legumina is also picked for that bullpen spot.
Before we get too far, I want to, since you talked about Criswell and Hancock, I want to see who do you think they're going to rotate those guys in the, say, the fifth rotation spot while Miller is injured, or who do you think they're going to go with first?
Well, per a tweet from Daniel Kramer of MLB Network, it looks like they're going to slot Emerson Hancock into the Sunday spot on the Game 4 against the Guardians to start. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of go, back and forth, maybe see who has the hot hand, but I definitely think they're going to run with Hancock since he's been chosen for this role currently. So that's what I think is going to happen. Obviously, who knows what's going to happen when that rotation spot comes back around, but as of right now, I can see it being Hancock.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets the first start in that spot of the rotation, then I think it's a good sign that if he does at least acceptable in his start, they'll probably just keep going with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Moving into the
do we have on that 26-man roster?
Yeah, so obviously with the notable injuries of Mastrobuoni and of J.P. Crawford, Ryan Bliss made the roster. And I know we had talked about this a few episodes ago that, who was he going to make it? He was having pretty disappointing spring. But Leo Rivas is going to most likely slot into that starting shortstop role while JP is rehabbing and coming back from that injury. But Ryan Bliss is really the only one that I would say is noteworthy, other than, of course, the backup catcher role going to Mitch Garver officially. Andrew Knizner has officially, he's been released. He did not want to go to the Rainiers and stay in the organization. So that really is what the 26-man roster looks like, obviously, other than the guys we expected to be there. So,
right. Yeah, I think the biggest surprise to me was Ryan Bliss. I know he's mainly in there just because of the injury to, JP and Mastrobuoni. I think once those two guys are back, him and he'll be down unless he just goes nuts. And then it'll be between Rivas and Mastrobuoni to kind of see who's going to be that backup infield spot. But anyway, I'm really surprised that they went with Mastrobuoni or Ryan Bliss as that spot.
Yeah, I mean,
he had a disappointing spring. We didn't really see him much at all in spring, and then last year, obviously, he was out for the entire season. So.
Well, and it's interesting because we talk about Ryan Bliss, and he was our starting second baseman last year. Big hopes for him, and didn't lead to a lot, and he's now on the opening day roster for 2026. Looking back at spring training, who else could have taken that spot? I mean, obviously we talked about Will Wilson potentially there, maybe adding another outfielder in Brendan Davis, but no one else really stood out into the middle infield other than obviously top prospect Colt Emerson, and that wasn't going to happen at this point in the year.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. There wasn't really much of anyone to fill that position that would have been not been like a top prospect who's obviously not going to do that. So I think, yeah, I mean, I think it's the right move, I guess. I mean, like you said, Leo Rivas is probably going to be the starter for now, and then Ryan Bliss will just be coming off the bench, so he might even get very limited playing time. Because I believe Leo Rivas is a switch hitter, right? So
Yeah, Leo Rivas is a switch hitter, so he'll be in the
So-
lineup, I believe, majority of the days. Yeah.
yeah, so I think Ryan Bliss will be really limited in his playing time. Probably get a couple maybe pinch running situations, or if he pinch hits, say for like Cole Young, if there's a lefty on the mound, or something like that. But maybe maybe like one or start before JP comes back, as long as JP's timeline is accurate.
I definitely see his role more as the, that extra guy in the infield. I think a majority of those starts will go to Rivas, Cole Young, and then who knows, maybe we even see Brendan Donovan at one of those positions if need be.
Right.
But yeah, with tomorrow being opening day, obviously we want to talk about opening day lineup. We now know what the roster looks like, so who's going to be in that starting lineup? Obviously, what was the guy's name? The guy starting for the Guardians tomorrow. I can't remember his name.
Shane Bieber.
Dude, no. Dude, Shane Bieber's on the Blue Jays.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're right.
It's all good. Let me load it really quick.
Who's their starter?
We'll have to cut this out. We'll kind of
Yeah,
restart
yeah.
that. That's okay.
Yeah.
BB. It's Bibby.
Oh, Tanner Beebe. Yeah.
Yeah, BB.
Wait, Shane Bieber's on the. When has Shane Bieber been on the Blue Jays?
Dude, yeah, he was dropped. He was dropped, and he's on the Blue Jays now.
Just this offseason?
I want to say it happened mid-season last year. Yeah,
That's crazy. So he was on the Blue Jays that whole like postseason run.
the whole run. Yeah, he was in the bullpen, and I think he was actually injured for a part of the year too. But
That's crazy. Remember when he was so good?
he was really good.
That's weird. Okay. Anyway.
Okay, so then, so now that we know what the 26-man roster looks like, obviously we can make some speculations to what our opening day lineup is going to be. I think the top five is pretty much a lock. Brandon Donovan, Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, Josh Naylor, and then Randy Arozarena. But after that, there's quite a lot you can do to play with.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to obviously depend on lefty or righty, but for tomorrow, probably you're going to have Canzone and Luke Raley both in there, I would think.
Yeah, especially with Tanner Bibby being the opening day starter for the Guardians.
So if I would say Canzone 6, Luke Raley 7, then probably Leo Rivas 8 and Cole Young 9 is what I would do.
That's what I would say too, especially with Cole Young coming off of a strong spring. They're going to want to get him ahead of the top of the lineup to maybe get some better pitches or whatnot. Because if you put him ahead of a Rivas, maybe they're not going to pitch to him as much, knowing that they can potentially get Rivas out, even though he is still a challenging out. So, yeah, I would say that 1 through 9 is what we're going to see tomorrow for opening day. Obviously, if it was a lefty, we'd probably see Robles and Ref Schneider in there rather than Canzone and Raley. But I think that 6, 7, 8, 9 spot is going to be pretty fluid throughout the first part of the season to see what works.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they're going to move that around a lot. I mean, it's honestly not a bad bottom 4 if you think about it. If Canzone does what he did last year or even relatively close to it, he's a dangerous hitter. Luke Raley, in your mind, has a lot of upside. In my mind, not so much.
I mean, in 2024, he had a 3+ WAR, batting .260 with 24 bombs. So having that at your 7th spot, I'll take that at nine times out of 10.
Hey, if he can do that again, then great. I will happily have him in this 7th spot as well. So, and then you're just like, Cole Young has a lot of upside. He's still young, but we don't know what to expect from him. Leo Rivas has shown flashes of, being a good hitter as well. So if all those guys can come together, or even 2 out of the 4 can, pick it up one day and next day the other 2, that's honestly not a bad bottom 4 for now. And then once we get those guys back from injury, like JP, it's going to be even better.
Yeah, I agree. Moving forward to the rotation, again, as I mentioned earlier, Daniel Kramer did kind of give us an outlook of what that's going to look like. So obviously Logan Gilbert is your opening day starter. George Kirby will be going Friday. A little bit of a surprise to me after the year Brian Wu had, but I don't really think they're putting in order their best to worst pitcher. They're kind of playing the odds, I would say. And then you'll have Brian Wu going Saturday against the Cleveland Guardians, Emerson Hancock rounding out that series, and then Castillo starting Monday against the New York Yankees.
Yeah. I'm surprised Brian Wu is not number 2, but I mean, hearing the 5, the order of the 5, I think they're going, like, you could say Gilbert, Ace, number 1, and then with Kirby, who's, a little bit lower, but he has a lot of upside.
He's a middle of the rotation kind of guy, at least for our rotation. He's probably ace on half the other teams, but
for sure. So like then they're going Kirby, then Brian Wu, who's an ace, and then Hancock, who's lower, and then Castillo, who should be better. So they're like kind of alternating, like ace, a little bit lower, every other, just to kind of play those matchups. And I think going every other is a good strategy, at least for now. Otherwise, you're going to have Gilbert, Wu, like your top 2 aces going back to back, and then you're kind of. I mean, our pitching rotation is so good that it's like you can't really say like, oh, the bottom 3 is terrible, but
No, I agree, and I think that having this as your kind of your lineup, it gives you a little bit of flexibility down the line, because obviously there's going to be a break day here every once in a while. So maybe even after an off day, maybe they skip over that 5th spot and go right back to the top of the order, and then it slots back in. Because obviously this rotation, I would say you could put 4 of these guys anywhere in your top 4, and then obviously your 5 spot being Emerson Hancock or Chris Well. Adding Bryce Miller to the rotation even adds 5 guys that can really go anywhere. So I think that they're just playing the matchups in this. They're kind of looking at, okay, Guardians ace, we got to put our guy against him, and then maybe their second guy, hey, George Kirby has a good chance against him, so let's go out and win the series by making Brian Wu 3rd.
Yeah, which I like that strategy. I mean, then it gives you, if we're split the series 1-1, and then you have Brian Wu, that puts you in a great position. If we're up 2-0, then awesome. Now we have Brian Wu, and I'm not going to say we're guaranteed 3-0, but it's like we have a better chance of being
definitely a better chance,
taking the series 3-0 at that point. So, yeah,
I agree. But yeah, so it's cool stuff. Obviously the the season starts tomorrow at 7:10. It's going to be amazing. I can't believe baseball's back already. Knowing the 26-man roster, knowing what the potential lineup as well as the rotation is going to look like, I'm just so excited. And yeah, I can't believe it's here.
I know, right? Me too. I'm on the East Coast now, so I'll be tuning in at 10 p.m., but I will be watching.
A lot of late nights coming up.
A lot of late nights coming up this season, but hey, you got to do it. So yeah,
that's right.
This was just a quick episode just to kind of build some hype for tomorrow and just run down our thoughts on now that the 26-man roster and rotation are kind of out there now. So we just wanted to get a quick episode in. Thanks for watching this episode of Talking Tridents, a Mariners podcast. We'll be back at you next time. Hope you have a good day enjoying the game tomorrow.